So for your activating strategy today, we want you to take the GCF of all of the following. And so just a reminder, the GCF stands for greatest common factor. Greatest common factor. Okay? And so for instance, we'll do the first one together. On number 1, the first thing we want to look at are the numbers. So we've got 16 and we've got 4. So we're going to list out the factors of 16 and list out the factors of 4. So the factors of 16 are 1, 4 times 4, and 16. And for 4, we've got 1, 2 times 2, and 4. And so we want to think of which one, what number do, oh, and I forgot also 2 and 8. My bad. For 16. All right, so we want to think, all right, what is the greatest common factor that they both share? Well, they both have a 4 as a common factor, and it's the biggest one for both of them that they both share. Okay, so we know 4 is going to be a part of this. And then we've got p to the 4th and p to the 3rd. Okay, so we've got p times p times p times p, and then we also have p times p times p. Well, how many do they both share? Well, 3 p's, right? So our greatest common factor of this guy is going to be 4p to the 3rd power. Okay, so take a moment, try number 2. Okay. All right, so hopefully you got a little bit of time. If you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know factors of 36 or I don't know factors of 9, you can go into your TI-83 calculator and you can go into that y equals button, type whatever number you want, so 36 divided by x, and then hit second, and then hit graph. And that'll pull up a table, an XY table of all of the different factors for 36. And I'll show that to y'all in just one second. But this one's pretty simple. So on this one, what you're going to do is you're going to say, what are factors of 9? Well, that's 1, 3 times 3, and 9, right? And then what are factors of 36? You're going to say 1 times 36 and 2 times 18. And then you're going to say 3 and 12. And you're going to say 9 and 4. I think that's all. So which one do they both share? They both share a 9, right? But they both don't share an x. So we're just going to pull out that 9. So that greatest common factor is going to be 9. Okay? Now it does say factor out each expression. So you're not just going to leave this as this answer. You're going to say 9. And if you took both of these and divided it by 9, you'd get x plus 4. Over here, back to that first problem. Sorry, I didn't write this correctly. You would have 4p to the 3rd power. And if you divided 16p to the 4th power and divided it by 4p to the 3rd, we would get 4p plus 1. Okay, and that's actually how you would write it out. Okay, so if the question asks you what's the greatest common factor, you would write 9. If it said, hey, factor out the expression, you would write this. Okay? Let's try the next one. So we've got 63 and 45b. So let's first write this in standard form. So we've got 45b plus 63. And then we're going to list out the factors of 45 and 63. Let's say, for instance, that I don't remember the factors of 45 or 63 for some reason. Just totally forgot them. So what I would do is I'd go into my handy dandy calculator and I'd hit y equals, and I'd say 63, and then I'm going to say divided by x, and I'm going to hit second graph, and that's going to pull up all my potential factors, like 1 times 63, 3 times 21, etc. So I can list those out. And then I can look at 9 divided by x. I'm sorry, 45 divided by x. And I go second graph. And I can even see over here, there are other factors in common as well. Okay? So I'm looking for the same number, the biggest number that they both share in these y's. Okay? So let's scroll down. there's a 15, there's a 9 here, and there's a 9 there. That one's going to be our biggest one, right? Okay, so 9 is going to be our factor. So we're going to pull out a 9 from both of these. So 45 divided by 9 is going to give me 5b, and they both don't share a b, so I'm not going to pull out a b. But 63 divided by 9 is 7. Okay? This next one, we've got 6 and 3. And this one's pretty easy. They both have 3 in common, right? So I'm going to pull out a 3. They both have ends. Okay, so let's make sure that we have this in standard form. So we've got negative 3n to the 5th plus 6n cubed. So I'm going to pull out a 3. And on this one, you can pull out a negative depending on how you want it written or how your answer choices are written. You could pull out a negative 3 or you could leave the negative 3. I like to pull it out because I don't like having my first term be negative. So I'm going to pull out that negative 3. And then I also got into the third power, right, from both of them. So into the third power. Now if I take this first term and I divide it by negative 3 to the nth power, we're going to get n squared because remember we're going to subtract those exponents, right? And then if I have 6n to the third divided by negative 3n to the third, I'm going to get negative 2. All right? On this next one, they both have negative 6 in common, so I'm going to take that out. And then I have r to the 5th and r to the 4th, so I'm going to pull out the r to the 4th. Notice how, like, I take out the lower one. Like, if it's included on the other one, like, this has 4 r's. This will have 4 r's plus 1, right? So if I take negative 6r to the 5th and divide it by negative 6r to the 4th, I'm going to get r. And if I take negative 6r to the 4th and divide it by negative 6r to the 4th, I'm going to get positive 1. This next one's a little tricky. So we got 63 and negative 35. So I'm going to go into my calculator, go to that y equals, I'm going to clear all this mess out. I'm going to say 63 divided by x. I'm going to go to the second line. I'm going to say 35 divided by x. And I'm going to hit second graph. And I'm looking for the biggest number that they both share. It's got to be a whole number as well. They both have a 7. Okay, so 7 it is. So I divide both of these by 7. And then I'm also going to pull out an x to the 6th, right? So 63 x to the 12th divided by 7 x to the 6th is going to give me 9x to the 6th. And negative 35 x to the 6th divided by 7x to the 6th is going to give me negative 5. And that's it. Okay, so hopefully you're pretty good at greatest common factor. You've got to have this nailed down. If we weren't able to factor anything out, we would write out the term prime because that means that the greatest common factor would be 1. So that's a prime factorization, okay? Alrighty.